Yuma opened his eyes to a nightmare. His own lifeless body lay crumpled on the blood-soaked earth before him, hollow eyes staring at nothing. He was standing over the corpse. But these weren't his legs. These weren't his hands. They were too large, too scarred. The hands were rough, stained crimson, fingers curled as if still gripping a blade. Hands that had murdered his entire family. Yuma stumbled to a puddle of blood and froze. A scarred, weathered face stared back, but the eyes, those were his own, young and horrified.
I am inside the body of the man who destroyed my life.
And deep within his skull, a voice screamed. Raw, trapped, and utterly broken.
He's still in here, screaming. That voice, that killer, is still alive inside my head.
The corpse at his feet was his own. The fingers twitching were a murderer's. There was no way back. Yuma wanted to scream too, to cry out, but his throat only growled with a killer's voice.
Nobody will ever see me again. I am trapped in his body, in his sin.
The scream inside his skull swelled, a raw, trapped howl that drove Yuma to his feet. He stumbled past the wreckage of his home and froze. From beneath a collapsed beam, a slender hand reached out, his mother's.
Father, mother, sister, I couldn't save you. Forgive me.
Blinded by guilt and tears, he fled into the forest, crashing through branches that tore at his borrowed skin. He ran until his legs gave out, collapsing against a mossy trunk. The screams in his head had quieted to a whimper as he caught his breath, his eyes locked on a tattered paper, nailed to a nearby tree, a wanted poster.
That's his face. The bounty. It's more than a lifetime. They'll kill me without question.
The name beneath the scarred face, Tetsuya, wanted for the massacre of the Rin family. The most dangerous missing 9 in the region.
I can never go home. I can never ask for help. Every man's hand is against me now.
Huddled in the darkness, Yuma realized he was utterly alone, trapped in a killer's flesh, with no refuge anywhere in the world. A sudden warmth prickled his palms. Blue chakra sparked involuntarily along the scarred knuckles, raw and foreign. He tried to suppress it, but the energy flared, snapping a nearby branch like a twig. Tetsuya's skills were surfacing unbidden, searching for answers. Yuma rifled through the cloak's inner pockets. His fingers closed around a folded parchment. The seal was unbroken. Inside, a single line of orders. Meet at the Rusty Kunai Inn, capital outskirts, 3 nights hence. Payment on delivery.
The client, the one who paid for my family's murder. They're waiting for Tetsuya to report.
A spark of cold resolve ignited behind those pale blue eyes. For the first time, Yuma had a direction. He turned and gazed back at the distant village, a faint orange glow still licking the horizon. His parents, his sister, their ashes were still warm.
I will find them. I will make them pay. This body will be my weapon.
Pulling the hood low over his scarred face, Yuma began walking. The dark forest swallowed him, but his path was set.
Rusty Kunai Inn. I'll find you, whoever you are.
The Rusty Kunai Inn squatted at the edge of a lawless town, its flickering lanterns a beacon for cutthroats and sellswords. Yuma entered, hood drawn low. Conversation stuttered and died as every gaze fixed on the scarred intruder. An oppressive weight filled the room. Tetsuya's killing intent spilled out, freezing even the seasoned drunks in their seats. A man near the hearth dropped his mug, ale soaking his boots. His face was a mask of pure terror.
The client, who hired a man for a job. Speak.
The innkeeper stammered through his answer. A noble from the capital, one with deep ties to the Hiroki clan. Though he refused to name him, Yuma's pulse hammered. Hiroki, his own family name. The scream in his skull grew louder.
My own blood paid for the murder of my family. How is that possible?
The innkeeper added that the noble had already departed for the capital. The meeting here was a dead end. Yuma released the man and strode out. The capital. He'd tear the Hiroki estate apart to find the truth. He crossed the mountain pass beneath a cold moon, never stopping, never resting. The capital loomed ahead by dawn. The sprawling capital glittered with pagoda towers and crowded streets. Somewhere in that maze hid a Hiroki noble with blood on his hands. Yuma bought a dark cloak from a market stall, paying with coins pried from Tetsuya's belt. The seller didn't meet his eyes. He cornered a tea-house merchant, letting a sliver of killing intent leak. The man babbled about a disowned Hiroki brother named Kaito. An old woman in a narrow alley paid for her silence, whispered that Kaito had been cast out for coveting the clan's inheritance. Scraps of parchment formed a picture. His father's estranged brother, a man who believed he was owed everything. Kaito Hiroki.
Murdered for gold, for a title that was denied. This is the reason?
The scream in Yuma's skull sounded almost bitter. Even Tetsuya hadn't known the full pettiness of the contract. He stood before the iron gates of the Hiroki estate. The last time he'd been here, he'd been a boy holding his father's hand. Now, he was a monster wearing a borrowed face, and somewhere inside that mansion, his uncle was waiting. The estate gates were locked and heavily guarded. Yuma circled to the eastern wall. He scaled the stone wall effortlessly, chakra clinging to his palms, and dropped silently onto the rooftop. He crept across the tiles, pausing as voices rose from the courtyard below. 2 guards huddled near a brazier, complaining about their duty. One growled about the brat, locked in the cellar.
A child. Kaito is holding a child prisoner. What is he planning?
His partner shrugged. Once the assassin reported, the girl was dead weight. The boss had ordered it. Yuma slipped through a narrow window, landing softly in an empty corridor. He had to see her for himself.
When that scarred dog arrives, we dispose of the girl and pay him. No loose ends.
Hidden in the shadows, Yuma's fists clenched until his nails drew blood. Tetsuya's scream was deafening. Through the bars of a cell, a little girl with dark tangled hair hugged her knees, her eyes hollow. Yuma forced himself to turn away. He would return, back in a fetid alley beyond the estate walls. Yuma sagged against the cold, damp stone. The silence was worse than the scream.
That child. Kaito's going to kill her just like my family. I'm wearing the monster who will swing the blade.
A violent pressure split his skull. The constant scream fractured into a ragged, desperate voice.
That girl. She's my daughter. Her name is Hana. You must listen to me. Kaito took her hostage. He threatened to kill her unless I butchered your family. I never wanted any of it.
Shut up! You killed them. You swung the blade. Nothing will ever excuse that.
Look into my memories. See the truth for yourself. I have no other way to prove my remorse.
Trust a murderer's memories? It could be a trick. But if I refuse, that little girl dies for nothing.
If you don't believe me, Kaito wins. He'll kill Hana, and your family's death will have been for nothing.
Show me. But if you deceive me, I'll find a way to silence you forever.
Yuma closed his eyes and let the dark current of Tetsuya's memories pull him under. The world dissolved into sepia and shadow.
Kill the Rin family, every last one, or your daughter will beg for death before I am done with her. She's in that cage, waiting for you to finish the job. Succeed, and you walk away with her. Fail, and she's mine.
A little girl with tangled hair pressed against iron bars, her tiny hands reaching, her voice cracking with terror. Tetsuya's scarred hand trembled over the scroll. He signed away a family to save his own. The ink was like blood. Then the blade fell, again and again. He moved through the massacre like a hollow shell, his scream trapped in his skull. Yuma opened his eyes. Tears cut clean tracks through the grime on his scarred face.
I felt his agony, the same horror, the same helpless rage. We were both Kaito's puppets.
Yuma wiped his face. The scream inside was no longer a threat. It was a grieving father, desperate to save his child.
Then we stop him. Together. For Hana. For my family. No more dead children.
They found sanctuary in a derelict warehouse on the capital's edge. Crates and silence became their training ground.
You hold my body, but your instincts are still a boy's. Let me guide your hand. Feel the weight.
Yuma swung again and again. Tetsuya's voice corrected his stance. His grip, the cruel efficiency he'd need to survive.
There's a sensory guard, Jiro. He'll detect any unfamiliar chakra pattern. You won't make it past him alone.
For hours they drilled, two souls grinding down the friction between them into something resembling synchronization.
Even with his help, I am not enough. I need to be more than a passenger in this body.
When we infiltrate, let me take over to past Jiro. I know how to mask my chakra signature. Trust me for that moment.
One moment. If you try anything beyond that, I'll wrest control back and we both fail.
It was the most fragile of alliances. Two murderers sharing one skin, held together by a child locked in a cage. When dawn crept through the broken roof, Yuma was no longer just a victim. He was a weapon being sharpened for a single purpose. That same night, Yuma and Tetsuya slipped back through the estate wall. This time, they moved with a killer's synchronization. At the inner corridor, Yuma surrendered control. Tetsuya's cold, hard eyes flickered in his face as Jiro stepped into view. Tetsuya's voice, rough and familiar, dismissed the guard. Jiro bowed without suspicion and stepped aside. Past the guard, Yuma seized control again. They descended into the damp cellar where the little girl sat in the dark.
Hana, I am here to get you out. Don't be afraid. Your father sent me.
Papa? Is Papa okay?
Touching, really. But I'm afraid your father is a bit indisposed. Welcome home, nephew.
Uncle, you are the one who ordered my family slaughtered. For what? Gold?
Your father took everything that was mine. The inheritance, the respect, the future. Now I am simply collecting what I am owed.
Kaito raised a hand, and steel sang from every corner. Yuma pulled Hana behind him, his borrowed heart hammering with a rage that wasn't only his own. The guards charged, but Tetsuya's voice cut through the chaos, steady, cold, and lethal.
Left flank. Use my body's reflexes. The blade is already yours. Move.
Yuma surrendered control, and Tetsuya's arms moved with a killer's precision. The first guard fell, blood spraying the wall. Then Yuma wrenched back control, ducking under a sword arc and driving his elbow into an exposed throat. Another down, they switched back and forth, two souls in one body. A seamless dance of violence that none could match. Kaito's arrogant smile cracked. His elite guards lay groaning on the stone floor, and the armored circle around him shrank. When the last guard crumpled, Yuma stood panting, Hana's small fists clutching the back of his cloak. Her whimper was the only sound. But Kaito's eyes darted to a shadowy alcove. Without a word, he spun and fled, his robes whipping around the corner.
He's getting away. Hana, stay here and don't move. Tetsuya, guide me.
They lunged after him, a single creature of vengeance and desperation, the echo of a child's fear chasing them deeper into the dark. The tunnel sloped downward, damp and forgotten. Tetsuya's voice guided Yuma's feet. Left, right, faster. They crashed through a rotted tapestry into the vault, a cavern of gold and stolen relics. Kaito whirled, his composure finally shattered. Kaito's hand shot to his belt, pulling free a curved, poisoned blade. He lunged without another word. Yuma sidestepped, caught the wrist, and twisted hard. The dagger clattered to the floor.
You move like a true killer now, nephew. But will you finish it? Look at yourself. You are trapped in a murderer's skin, with his screams in your head. Even if you kill me, you'll never be free.
He's right. I am a monster wearing a monster's face. What am I doing?
The blade in Yuma's hand trembled. Kaito's sneer remained despite the blood trickling down his cheek.
Go on. Become the beast they all think you are. It's exactly what your father would have wanted.
Yuma's aim held steady at his uncle's heart, but a dozen dead voices screamed for justice, and something deeper, something human, held him back. A small, trembling voice cut through the heavy air. Hana stood in the vault entrance, her eyes wide.
Hana, I told you to stay back. Get out of here.
Yuma, please, let me speak to her. Just once, she came looking for her father.
Yuma nodded inside and released control. The scarred face softened, the cold gray eyes warming just for a heartbeat.
Hana, my little bloom, I am so sorry. Papa's here now. I love you more than anything.
Papa, is it really you? I was so scared.
In that frozen moment, Kaito's bloodied hand snatched a small, jeweled blade from the treasure pile. With a mad snarl, he lunged, not at Yuma, but at the little girl. Tetsuya's scream tore through Yuma's skull as he threw his body forward, shoving Hana behind him. The blade sank deep into his side instead. Yuma felt the white-hot agony scream through both their souls, but his own voice only shook with a single thought: protect Hana. Biting down on the agony, Yuma tore the dagger from his side and hurled himself at his uncle. His blood-slicked hand seized Kaito by the throat and drove him against the vault wall with a sickening crack.
Finish it. You'll still be the scarred killer. The boy you were died with his family.
Mother, father, sister, I feel you here. Let the nightmare end.
With a guttural cry that was half his own and half Tetsuya's, he drove the blade into Kaito's heart.
You've lost everything, just like your father.
Kaito Hiroki slumped, the light leaving his eyes. The mastermind of the massacre hung dead in Yuma's grip. Yuma dropped the body like refuse, turned and rushed to Hana, pulling her trembling form into a desperate embrace. He could feel Tetsuya's presence flickering, the killer's soul having found a scrap of redemption in saving his daughter. Vengeance was finally his, but the price lay bleeding in his side and fading in his skull. And Hana's tears had only begun. Yuma pressed a bloodied hand to his side, but the deeper wound was the voice in his skull, growing impossibly faint.
Yuma, thank you. You gave me this one chance. Hana is safe because of you.
Don't leave yet. She needs to hear you. I can't be the one to say goodbye for you.
There's no time. Take my remaining strength, my skills. Protect her. Promise me. You won't let her be alone.
A warm, heavy current flooded Yuma's veins, Tetsuya's lifetime of battle instinct pouring into him as the killer's soul began to dissolve.
I promise. She'll never be alone again. I'll raise her as my own. Rest, Tetsuya.
Thank you. Tell Hana. Papa loves her.
The scream that had haunted Yuma's mind finally fell silent. In its place was only the quiet, and a child's soft sobbing.
Hana, your father, he's gone. But he loved you so much. I am here now. I'll protect you. I swear it.
So Yuma gathered the weeping child into his arms. The weight of two lives, one lost, one saved, settling onto his scarred shoulders, supporting Hana's weight. Yuma limped through the silent estate, every step a war against his bleeding side. In Kaito's private study, he found a locked drawer. His reinforced fist shattered it, revealing a stack of incriminating letters.
Orders, payments, blackmail, proof of everything. If I have to clear his name, this will be the hammer.
They slipped through the city gates just before dawn. Hana's small arms wrapped around his neck, her breathing soft and even.
Yuma, are we safe now? Where are we going?
To someone who will keep you safe. I am not going to let anything happen to you.
By midday, they reached a sleepy village. At a weathered cottage door, an old woman opened up. She flinched at his scarred face, but recognized Tetsuya's eyes. Her fear melted when Hana peeked out. Without a word, She opened the door wide and pulled them inside.
Hana, I have to go away for a while, but I will come back. I swear it on my life.
Then he stood, pressed the bundle of letters to his chest, and walked out alone into the gathering dusk. His path uncertain, his burden set, Yuma walked until the village was a memory. The road stretched black and empty before him, much like his future, but the weight of the letters in his cloak reminded him he still had purpose, proof that could tear down the lies.
I can never live as Yuma again, but maybe I can still save someone, anyone.
He tore a strip from his cloak and tied it across his scarred face, not to hide, but to become something else. In a border town, bandits bled the weak dry. A shadow fell upon them, swift and ruthless. When they woke, their plunder was gone, returned. A caravan was saved from a rampaging beast, and a scrap of cloth, a child's drawing of a scarred man, began to spread through the region, but his face was still pinned on every bounty board. Each act of mercy was shadowed by the price on his head. They called him the Scarred Shadow, a demon to some, a guardian to others. The legend grew in whispers.
I can't erase what this body did, but I can stack enough good to tilt the scales.
On that hill, he watched the sun rise. He was still hunted, still nameless, but no longer aimless. One drizzly night, in a narrow forest path, 4 figures stepped from the shadows. Bounty hunters with sharp blades and hungry eyes. They expected a desperate monster. Instead, they met a silent storm of steel and cloth. Yuma moved through them like a ghost. When the last one fell, Yuma stood above them, blade held low, not a single life taken. A wounded hunter spat at him, voice dripping with malice. You can play saint all you want, but your face is worth a fortune dead. You'll never be anything but a killer to the world.
He's right. Every life I save, they'll still see the monster, unless I make them see the truth.
A few towns later, he paused before a bounty board. His own scarred face stared back, the price still bold and bloody.
I have the evidence. Kaito's letters. If I can make the council see the truth, maybe this name can be cleared.
It was a gamble. Walking into the village of his birth, wearing the face of their nightmare, to beg for justice. But he had no other path left. He pulled his hood low and turned his steps toward the place where his story began and where it would finally be judged. The cottage was quiet, a lamp burning in the window. As Yuma approached, the door flew open and Hana flung herself into his arms.
Yuma, you came back. I knew you would.
I promised. But Hana, there's a lot I need to tell you. About your father, and about me.
Inside, by the fading fire, he told her the whole truth. Yuma Rin, the massacre, the failed jutsu, Kaito's blackmail, and Tetsuya's final, redemptive act.
So you are not my papa. You are the boy he hurt. And still, you saved me. After what my father did.
I hated him, but he loved you. His last words were of you. I promised to protect you, and I will.
Then teach me to be strong. I don't want to be a burden. I want to help you. Please.
So they trained. In the clearing, Yuma showed her stances, footwork, how to hold a training sword. She fell again and again, but each time she got back up, her eyes burning with a fierce light. At the end, she said, I am coming with you to the council. You don't have to face them alone. And Yuma couldn't find the words to refuse. The next morning, Yuma packed the letters carefully, his hands steady. Hana stood waiting by the door, dressed for travel. They shared a quiet breakfast, neither speaking much. The weight of what they were about to do hung between them.
If this goes wrong, they'll execute me on the spot, but at least she'll be far away from the village square when it happens. If things turn bad, take this dagger and run. No matter what you hear.
I won't run. You are my family now. I'll stay with you, no matter what.
The road to the village was familiar, each step heavier than the last. The trees seemed to whisper warnings. By midday, The village came into view. The gates were closed, but the guard tower had already spotted them. Murmurs spread through the streets as they approached. Faces pressed against shutters. Fear and hatred in their eyes.
This is my home, and they all want me dead. Every face I grew up with now only sees a murderer.
Without hesitation, Yuma walked straight to the council hall. Hana's small hand clenched in his. The trial of a lifetime was about to begin. The council hall was dim and crowded. Elders lined the walls, their faces hard as stone. Hana stayed close, her hand trembling but unyielding.
I am not Tetsuya. My name is Yuma Rin, and I have proof of who orchestrated the massacre of my family.
He laid the letters before them. The elder's assistant read aloud, payment for the elimination of the Rin bloodline. Ensure no survivors. Kaito Hiroki. Gasps rippled through the hall. The elder's stony expressions cracked as more evidence surfaced.
His story is true. My father, he was forced. Kaito kept me in a cage. This man saved me.
The elders withdrew behind a screen, and a heavy silence fell. When they emerged, their eyes had changed. The lead elder's voice cut through the murmurs. The truth cannot be denied. The bounty on this body is lifted. Tetsuya's name will be struck, but justice requires caution. You must never show your face in sunlight. We name you Shadow Protector. Guard this land from the dark.
I accept. I will protect the innocent from the shadows. I will raise this child as my own.
Then they turned and walked out of the hall, into the dusk. The bounty was lifted, but the mask would remain. Their new life had begun. The heavy doors closed behind them, sealing their old lives away. The dusk had given way to a tentative broken sunlight. Clouds parted, as if the sky itself had made a verdict. Warm light spilled onto the cobblestones. They walked without speaking, two shadows wrapped in gold. The whispered fears of the villagers seemed a distant murmur now.
I see him, but not the monster. The eyes are mine. They always were.
For the first time, the scarred face reflected back didn't twist his heart with rage. It merely watched, silent and familiar.
You are not scary, Yuma. You are just you.
Just me. Yeah. Thank you, Hana.
They turned from the water, toward the path that led beyond the village, the path that would now be their home. The forest welcomed them, as it had always done. Not as fugitives, but as guardians. And for the first time, the boy who had died and the man who was reborn walked together, not toward vengeance, but toward tomorrow.